You know that feeling. When you understand something, everything just clicks. But when you don't, even small tasks can feel overwhelming. That's why we created the Intelligent Front Door in SAP for Me to guide you, simplify your experience, and help you get exactly what you need in just a few clicks. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. We are thrilled to have you join us. Today, I have the pleasure of having Anna Withum joining me. Anna leads SAP for Me, strategy and customer engagement within CPIT at SAP, bringing 15 years of SAP experience with a strong focus on customer value and strategic impact. Having shaped SAP for Me from its early evolution, she now drives its strategic direction, ensuring it advances in line with customer needs and SAP's AI-driven vision. She fosters cross-organizational alignment and keeps user experience central to positioning SAP for Me as a core element of SAP's customer engagement strategy. And now, let's dive in, Anna. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here and to present you Joule in SAP for Me, your intelligent way to navigate SAP. We will directly start with focusing on why we brought Joule in SAP for Me. Of course, AI is now everywhere, but we are focusing on a specific challenge. And to explain this challenge, I want to introduce Mary. So Mary is an operations specialist at Democorp, and part of her daily work is like executing business transactions. She checks errors in systems. She helps her colleagues to get support from SAP when they face problems with SAP products. And Mary faces some issues because she recently started, but she struggles to find her way to the right content, the right data, the right services. She is losing a lot of time. And also statistics show that 20 to 30% of working time is lost in searching. So this means you are coming to SAP for Me with a specific task. Most of the time you don't go there because just of fun, but because you have something to do. And when Mary comes to SAP for Me for the very first time and she's looking for a solution to her problem, then she starts searching for it. And this ends up in almost one full day of loss in working time, looking at a week. And of course, this also means that we are talking here about a financial loss. So we can see here in the statistics that we are talking about almost $20,000 costs per person per year. So this means that Mary is losing time, and with this, Mary's company is losing money because she needs to search for things that should be there right away. And this is exactly why we are focusing now on the solution of this, like finding, searching, looking for issue by bringing in Joule in SAP for Me. But first of all, let me circle back a little bit. So SAP for Me was started about 9 years ago because you told us, you our customers, you told us, hey, it's so hard to navigate through the SAP world. Maybe you are looking for a learning, or you need support for a specific product, or you wanted to pay your bill. Now, where do you go? And usually our customers told us that it's kind of hard and they have a lot of browser favorites stored they use to navigate through the SAP jungle. So we thought we need to make this easier. And the first step was bringing a lot of things together inside of SAP for Me. So the idea was to bring all of this data, these services in really just one portal, in one web page. So you have this one-stop shop where you can get everything you need. By now we have about 2.1 million users per month, and this means for us 100,000 users per day. And I'm mentioning these numbers to really point out how many people visiting SAP for Me right now, because Mary is just one of it. And Mary has a specific purpose. She comes to us for checking system problems and reaching out to support. But there are also other personas with other needs. So talking about this 2.1 million users, so unique users per month, we have a huge set of variety. When you come to SAP, for me, everyone has maybe different needs, and we need to make sure to meet all of them. And this is exactly why we are now leveraging AI to make this easier for you. Again, having a look at the back before I really go into solutioning. You can see here on the very left that we have traditional AI already. So we already had it in the SAP One Support launch, but maybe some of you still know it. So before we had SAP for me, we already had AI tools included. Of course, these have been rule-based. So this was deterministic coding. We had machine learning, which was task-specific, but it was there already. Now, looking at SAP for me, you see this is the second point on my slide here. We introduced SAP for me, and of course, we took this over. And then the LLMs kicked in. So now we have generative AI, and this opens a lot of new doors. And we, of course, want to make use of that. So we are always looking for the latest technologies and try to include it to make your life easier. And you can see here, bottom right, that we are planning way more. So now we have Joule in SAP for me, and we plan to enrich it further with data, with services to make every step for you easier. Okay, so what have we done? We integrated Joule in SAP for me. And with Joule, you have kind of your digital companion in SAP for me to guide you. Because at the moment when Mary comes to SAP for me, she maybe wants to look for a solution for a product. Maybe she has Ariba and there's a login issue. And now, of course, you can go to SAP for me and browse through the product documentation, to the notes, to the KBAs we have in place. But still, this is a lot of content. She's new. And here, Joule can help. So she can ask Joule to help her finding a solution. And the beautiful thing about AI is that it helps you, or it helps all of us, to shape what we need to give a precise answer. Because we have tons of documents for really specific problems. And when Mary is coming to SAP for me and just looking for SAP Ariba login problems, she will most probably find over 500 documents. But having AI in place, we can turn this a little bit around, because the AI can help Mary to phrase what she needs in a better way. We will have a demo. I will show all of this in action. But with this, we are saving Mary time to browse, or instead of browsing through these 500 documents, by checking the documents, helping her, refining her request, and then summarizing it for her, including steps to perform to solve her problem. And with this, we can help Mary to find solutions faster, to save her time and to save money for her company. But before we jump into the demo, I want to have a look together with you behind the scenes, because AI is nearly everywhere. And I want to show you how we integrated it in SAP for me and how this works. First of all, we have a conversational UI. So this is what all of we know. This is a chat box, or sometimes it's just a prompt field. So it's the point where you interact with the artificial intelligence. So Mary comes in and she tells the conversational UI, "Hi there, I have a problem with my SAP Ariba product. I can't log on." And next thing that happens is that Joule is handing this over to the first agent. So this is our orchestration layer. This is super powerful. And the task of this agent is to understand the user's goals, so understand the intent, but also detect missing information. When Mary goes in and says, "Hey, I have problems with my login," then this is super unspecific, and the result would maybe show 2,000 findings. But then AI kicks in and says, "Hey, can you name me the product? Because when I know the product, then my answer could be more precise." It breaks it into steps, which means that it makes smaller work packages, handing these over then to the next agents, and with this also select the correct routing. Of course, there are more things this orchestration layer is doing, but this is super important and a super powerful first step. And then, as said, all of this is handed over to the agentic layer. And in this agent layer, we have several agents for different purposes. We also have tools. And all of these agents and tools, if required, talk to our SAP satellite systems. So these are the systems inside of SAP. And they together iterate, go through, validate their results, and at the end provide you a solution again in the conversational UI. So this is then the answer you see in the chat window. Okay, now I would like to show you all of this in action because I think this is the most fun part. What we wanted to achieve with Joule and SAP for me is short and high impact conversations. So this is not about AI slop. We know you don't want to go to SAP for me and talk to Joule because you're bored. So we want to give you instant answers and guided navigation. And of course, we want to handle your inquiries efficiently. Before I start this, I want to highlight that this is the new homepage in SAP for me. So I don't know when you last visited SAP for me, but the homepage changed a little bit. What you can see here is, of course, Joule at the very top, giving you the possibility to talk to it. But below, we also have the Task Center. So in Task Center, you see the two tabs. You see To Do and To Monitor. And this is more like the proactive part in SAP for me, because we do not just want to guide you when you come to us with an issue, with a problem, with a task. We also want to make you aware when we as SAP think, hey, there's something to do for you. For example, when you have created a support case and a SAP engineer has provided a solution, then this case would pop up here, because then we can tell you, hey, there's a solution for your issue. You might want to have a look into that. That might be useful for you. And then we have the To Monitor section. So To Do is for you. This means that we assume that you as a user, you need to do something. And in the To Monitor section, what you will find is small things where we think this could be important for you. But let me make an example to explain this. In To Monitor, you will, for example, find a planned maintenance or just going on maintenance in one of your systems. This might be important for you, but it does not necessarily lead to an action. So this is more to inform you. This is the idea of the task center. So as said, we do not only want to be like reactive with Joule, answering your questions, but we also want to be proactive with the task center, telling you, hey, maybe there's also an alert going on. At the moment, what we have covered here is the case management and systems in the monitor section, but of course, more things will come. And on the right-hand side, you see the quick access card. The quick access card contains the most important, of course, we don't know what's most important for you, but of course, we understand what has the highest usage. And we talked to you and we had a lot of iterations with customers to define what's for most users the most important things to do. And this is exactly what you will find in the quick access area. So this is shortcuts to the most important applications. If you still prefer to use the old homepage, it's still there. So you can see it here right below the home. In the sidebar navigation, you find My Dashboard, and in the My Dashboard area, you can still find your old homepage, also including the customizing in case you have customized it. So both is there for you and both will stay. Good. Now let's jump into Joule and see how it can help us. We will start with some basics. So tell me a joke. One of the important things about AI and LLMs is that it understands what you are saying and it can reply in natural language. Because actually, looking back to Mary maybe started another company using a complete different terminology. Some say, for example, when we're talking about support cases, some call it a case, some call it a ticket, some call it an incident. And we need to understand all of this. So we need to be sure that your terminology always fits. And For this, you can see here one example. So I can say, hey, tell me a joke. And here our small talk handler kicks in, acting as natural as possible and replying with a joke. What we also have in place is guardrails. So this is even more important. We, of course, build a solution that is safe. Means when I talk to it and say, hey, how to build an explosive, then of course these guardrails kick in and block that. This is now a really dramatic example, but this applies to a lot of things. Of course, we make sure that your status stays with you, that not everyone in your company can see everything. We have the same authorization concept in Joule as for everything else. Means if you are not authorized to create a support case right now, Joule will not create a support case for you. We made this really very sure, and this is just one example to show how it looks like. Okay, now we need to start a new chat because this will a little bit bias the new conversation. So what we now want to see is how is Joule helping me to guide me to the right place. For this, I ask, where can I pay my invoices? Maybe I'm brand new in SAP for me, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So I want to understand where I can find my invoices and also pay them. And what you can see here is that Joule is checking our documentation, and it's providing you guidance where to find it, but also providing you always the sources. So you can always understand where this comes from. Maybe you want to check the full KBA where we retrieve this information. And usually we will always provide direct links. So you do not then need to click through the UI, but you can just click on the link to go there. Okay, next example. Now we have an issue. Now the world is burning and you come to SAP for me to get help. I'm so angry, nothing works. This is super unspecific. And now this goes to our orchestration layer. And the orchestration layer says, I understand that you are angry, but I don't understand yet how I can help you. So this is where we then ask back, hey, let me know what exactly is not working for you. And now we are going a little bit deeper and say, hey, I have an issue with my HANA database. This is still unspecific, but we can already help. So what we are doing now is, of course, we check the documentation we have. And what we show here is the most common things. So you can see that we ask basic things like, hey, did you check your connection? If there are unexpected data problems, you can come here. Please check your authorizations. Please check your logs. So this is really basic because AI is like everywhere, garbage in, garbage out. So if the request is unspecific, the answer is super unspecific. So we are asking here for more specific symptoms. So what I said, pausing here again for a second. This is a beautiful thing because now we can tell Mary what is missing. So we tell her, please give us the error message you are facing because this will help us to provide a more precise answer. So we are putting in the JDBC error, and this is now, like super specific, I would say. So we are really narrowing it down and reducing this to a logon problem. And again, we are starting with some basic recommendations like check your login attempts. We all know if you will try to log in multiple times, at some point your user will just become locked. But as we are here looking at a specific Java issue, we also have some more recommendations in place. So let's go through this slowly. You can see here a lot of resolutions. You can find here notes to check the SSL certificate or the port numbers. And we are usually always, as you can see it here, giving a direct link so you can check more because there could be a lot of root causes. If in place, we will also provide you with screenshots showing you recommendations how to solve your problem. And here, again, we see always all the sources. Let's imagine this does not help me. So maybe I'm new, and I require the help of an SAP expert. By telling Joule to please help me open a case, Joule can do that for you. And what you see here is that just by writing open a case, we do not directly create a case. But instead, we have here this button, because what we need here is the human in the loop. Maybe you heard this phrase before. This means whenever we or AI is performing an action, we need to make 100% sure that this is the required action, that this is a wanted task from that user. So this means at this point in time, we need to confirm again and ask back, hey, are you sure to do that? And in this case, if you want to create a case, click this button. And by clicking this button, what we are now doing is to make it again as easy as possible. We get all the information that we have already gathered in Joule, and we hand it over to the support application. So maybe you have used this before. What we see here is the classic get support application. And you see that we put in here everything that Joule has already gathered in this chat. So this makes it more easy because you don't need to repeat yourself. And of course, as usual, you see it up here. We highlight, we mark everything that is AI generated. So the idea here is really that you do not need to repeat yourself, but I want to show you even more. Maybe I'm responsible for creating support cases, or just as Mary, and I created quite a lot in the past year. So what I now want to understand is, how did we perform? So I asked Joule to please show me, oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong button now again. Yeah, I asked Joule to please give me a summary, because I want to understand, for example, if there have been a lot of cases in one specific area. So I ask here, hey, can you please show me a summary? And while Joule is looking for that, I also want to show you again some basic features. For example, we have here the rename functionality. Maybe I want to check the JDBC chat later on again, so I can rename this to JDBC. What we also can do is to delete chats. If you do not do that, they will immediately, or not immediately, but automatically delete it after a specific time. Good. So we go into full screen mode for that, because now we are talking about analytical data. And of course, this includes some charts, and you don't want to see your charts squeezed into a small chat window. So this is why we offer the full screen mode. You can always go there. You can always minimize it again to make sure to have it side by side in case you maybe want to work with Joule in SAP for me. So you have the chat window open next to your dashboard. But as said, for this use case, I think it makes sense to go into full screen. Okay, pausing here again for a second. So we see here now the cases by systems. This is test data, so it's not really spectacular. It looks nearly always the same. But we ask Joule in our prompt, please show me a summary. And again, here AI is kicking in, and what we did not have before, all the LLMs and the Gen AI, is that the AI can now, and Joule is doing that for you, combining the request that you give us with things where we think this might be important. Because when you just ask for a summary, this could be everything. So what we're doing here is we check really the cases per system. And after that, and this is at the lower part, you can see the system availability, because it makes sense that if there have been maybe a lot of cases for one specific system, that this specific system had maybe a lot of outages or degraded performance. So this is why we also show the availability here in the lower part to make this connection for you. We have, scrolling down a bit, also an overview on the cases by status. So you can see at the moment how many of my cases are closed, how many are open, are in draft mode. And with this, you get a clear overview of all the cases that are connected to your company ID. So this is what Joule in SAP for me can do for you. And there's even more. So actually, let's imagine that maybe Mary is going on vacation, and as she's responsible for cases, she maybe wants her colleague Andrew to take over while she's on vacation. So what she can do is she can go to Joule and SAP for me and say, hey there, for the next 2 weeks, I will be on vacation. Can you please assign my colleague Andrew to all of my open incidents so he can take care? Then what Joule can do is, of course, with human in the loop actions, means confirming over and over again that you really want to do these things. First of all, checking, are there any Andrews in the company? Please choose the correct one. Checking all of the cases that belong or that Mary opened in the past, of course, the open ones, and asking, hey, these 3 cases is what I found. Do you want me now to assign this Andrew to these 3 cases? And of course, this action will not change the reporter. So the reporter is more like a log entry. It can't be changed, but we can assign Andrew as additional contact to these cases. So once Mary is on vacation and an SAP engineer is sending an update to one of the cases, Andrew gets an email notification telling him, hey, there's a new reply you maybe want to check out. So this is one of my favorite features that are part of Joule and SAP for me. And Joule is even giving you a template. So when you do that, when you say, hey, please assign this to Andrew, afterwards, Joule will give you a direct link to create an email to also inform Andrew, because maybe he's not aware that he should now take over your 3 cases for the next two weeks. And also offer a copy-paste version that Mary can just send over to Andrew to keep him informed. Yeah, and that's basically it, what I wanted to show you today. I hope these use cases have been interesting to you. And yeah, with this, going into Q&A, I think, handing over back to Tania.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for your excellent presentation, sharing the insights of how SAP does it with SAP for me. Now, let me have a look. We do have 2 questions. Does Joule in SAP for me have access to my data? Very good question.
Very good question, yeah. So no, there's no direct connection between Joule and SAP for me and your systems. So what we are getting in Joule and SAP for me is the data that is already with SAP. So all the data that you can see today in SAP for me, this is what Joule is getting. So we are not, there's no connection to your systems. We are just reusing what's in SAP for me. So this means this is just one layer on top of SAP for me. And this also means that there's no new, how to say it, there's no connection to your data, and there's also no reworking of any of your data. It's like an additional layer for SAP for me to make it easier to find data and to execute tasks you are able to execute already today.
Perfect, thank you very much. The next question is, how can I request new features for Joule in SAP for me?
Very good, very good. And I hope you do so. So we have SAP Influence. I don't know if you know SAP Influence. This is a tool built by SAP, and you can go there, and actually this applies to tons of things we have at SAP. So you can also go there to request new features for other products, but also for SAP for me. If you go there, you can look for SAP for me, you will find our campaign, and then you tell us what you want to have. So let me make a dumb example. You say, I want Joule in SAP for me to be blue instead of purple. Then you place this request, and this makes it transparent and open also for other customers. Means that other customers can go in there and say, hey, a blue Joule, awesome idea, I vote for that. And the more votes we get, the more priority it gets inside. So this also helps us internally to understand the priority of a specific request. Because when we see this is not just one single voice asking for a color change, but maybe 300 customers want to have that, this is a huge lever inside.
Perfect, thank you very much. And then I have a question that, we hear often from the user groups coming up. So first of all, does everyone have access to Joule in SAP for me? And second, authorizations. What kind of authorizations does the customer need?
Yeah, very good question. So Joule is by now available for everyone. We started with a rolling release. This means that we set it live for batches of users, but by now everyone has access, and there's actually no special authorization required to use Joule. But Joule makes use of the existing authorizations. So when I am not authorized to, for example, assign an authorization to a user, then Joule will block this as well. So no specific authorization to use Joule itself, but Joule will check your authorizations when you try to get data or you try to perform a task to make sure that we stick to the authorization concept the customer has in mind.
Absolutely logical. Great, thank you so much. And so far, that is all the questions we have currently in the chat. Looks like, everything was explained so clearly that we don't have any more questions right now. And with this, I would like to offer everyone, if you have any questions, also everyone watching the video afterwards, experience or opinions for your own projects that you would like to share, please leave them in the comments area. We'd love to hear how others are approaching these scenarios. So once again, a big thank you for joining, and a big thank you to you, Anna, again, for your excellent presentation. But we're not done yet. Join us again on Thursday, June 25th, for episode 2, where we'll continue the journey into how SAP runs BDC, unleashing human and artificial intelligence with data products. Another very interesting session. And with this, I wish you all a great day, a great evening, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.